This is Signal and Noise, bringing clarity to data, tech, and AI.
House from Possible 2026, day 2. We're getting towards the end of the day. I have the Global Chief Revenue Officer of Nomix Group, Todd Ulise, just today, who has got a lot of, one, I want you to tell everybody a little bit about yourself and about Nomix. You were educating me ahead of the pod. I apologize for not doing my deep homework on the topic, but a lot of creator economy conversation, and I think there's going to be some interesting topics to cover here. But tell us a little bit about Nomix and about your sort of journey into the organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Todd Ulise, Global Chief Revenue Officer of Nomix Group. I've been in digital marketing for 26 years. So I started when I was 3.
But funny man.
So yeah, I've been my 4th company in 26 years, and kind of you find a pain point, you solve the pain point, you build a business, and then you sell the business. Yeah. That's it. And I started off at a company called Traffic Marketplace. We were one of the biggest ad networks in the world. Sold to Universal for $160 million in 2001. Solved the problem of performance economics back in 2001. Yeah, the economy was down. Then
solve the problem of performance economics. You qualify that.
Yeah, so think about what happened in 2000. Yeah, obviously all the .coms went like this in terms of bust. Yeah. So publishers were hurting. They were looking for new format ad units, and we kind of brought to the marketplace this thing called the pop under ad unit, Netflix, X10. Yeah. So you can blame me. Yeah. On SportsCenter, they said we're in more places than an X10 camera. So we powered the distribution pipeline behind that, and it was really distribution that I built. Yeah. So, Universal took notice, bought a company that was highly profitable.
And this is pop under technology. This is how to serve ads. Yeah. It was funny that Rio and I, the co-host of Signal and Noise, were part of a company called Pop-Up Technologies that was, and it was the first pop-up, or one of the early pops, rich media.
We were more invasive. We were less invasive.
Yeah. Interstitials. And it was right at that period where there was the collapse, and they basically had done a small raise, and then just revenue went down the tube. We actually ended up trying to resuscitate the business, and that's how we kind of got our start in ad tech. And it was early days. This was still when they were delivering the internet on like AOL discs through the mail with the modem dial-up. You remember that?
I remember that. Hey, my mother never wanted to cancel her AOL email subscription because she'd lose her email address. Yeah. So I get it.
Yeah, exactly. So you did that, and then keep going.
So we ended up selling that, and then a friend of mine from college, he calls me up. He was scuba diving with a guy named Dane Cook in Ecuador looking for sunken treasure. And he knew I knew digital marketing. I go, who's Dane Cook and what does he sing? Ended up producing Dane Cook. We took Dane to the marketplace, and I got the AOR for Comedy Central Records for a number of years. And my buddy won a bunch of Grammys. I worked with all the top comedians of the world, with MySpace, so social media ads back in 2004. Vertically integrated in the comedy space because comedy marketing, a problem, was underserved. Yeah. Right.
And were you into comedy? Because I think I saw that on your LinkedIn profile.
I'm not funny.
Like mediocre comedy.
Yeah. I'm not funny. Ask my children.
That's funny.
I ask my older daughter. I say, okay, what rhymes with dad, like dad jokes? She goes, bad. I go, no, daughter, rad jokes. So
you're like, those are dad jokes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. See, you can empathize with me. So
you probably had a little bit of experience with this.
Yeah, comedy. Working with comedians, you learn about delivery. A lot of it's delivery and communication.
And timing.
Yeah, timing is everything. Obviously, what you guys are doing, obviously, with Signal Noise podcast, it's like timing, delivery, communication. Yeah. It's essential. So, it was, comedy marketing centers. We can do an hour and a half long podcast. I can spend probably the whole time telling you stories about comedians and stuff that we've worked with.
Yeah, it was. There's probably highs and lows with comedians, right? There's the highs, which are extremely hilarious, but then there's a dark side to a lot of very funny people, right? It's almost like...
It really is.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Well, some of these comedians are geniuses. But they're just not able to live in a real world.
Yeah.
And, but obviously...
You almost need the audience validation when they're on stage, right? And they get off the stage, and you're like, now you've got to adapt to kind of a different audience environment. Right. And I've hung out with a lot of comedians that like practice their routines on you all the time.
Oh, yeah.
But once you get past the routine, right, then what?
Who are you?
The naked truth comes to the surface, right? And it's interesting that we're talking about this, but
we can do a longer podcast about this, and I could definitely go into more stories. Then I ended up selling that asset back in 2010, 2011. And, I ended up working for a company called ad.net, which basically, we isolated a pain point. Google was monopolistic. So we built an incremental search marketplace, kind of ran sales and marketing there for about 14 years. Yeah. Sold portion of the company, and then
An incremental search marketplace. So tell me how that was. Was
so
that like a
so basically put search results on websites, search.
yeah?
So and brands really wanted to diversify because
And you're syndicating the Google search.
our own, we built a direct business.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it was
because it was a pain point that I had. Find a problem,
like
solve the problem.
directory search, like classic. Old
Yeah,
style.
you put ads on like little listings.
Yeah.
So on, within, publisher ecosystems.
Yeah.
So I ended up selling that, and we ended up selling a portion of that entity. And then, I came aboard Nomix Group and saw what Nomix Group was doing holistically.
Yeah.
Find a problem, solve the problem, scale the business, and sell it. It's been my trajectory, all three companies I've been at. And, kind of seeing what Nomix was doing. Nomix is a holding company. Nomix started about 3 years ago as Shopnomics, right? And company scaled significantly. Shopnomics is in the performance marketing standpoint, works with some of the biggest brands in the world, and kind of get some increased distribution. And over the past couple of years, through acquisitions, Nomix, built the system, commerce everywhere, solving the problem of fragmentation.
Yeah.
And what that really means is that, where do users interact? And that leads us to some of the acquisitions we've done. We have a company called Creatornomics where we have access to 400,000 creators. And we also hard launched today at Possible Fanomics, which is our AI-driven content studio. So creators can be both real and synthetic.
Yeah, and so that's entirely synthetic. That's creating creators that fit 100 or 1,000 different molds. Is that what?
Yeah, I mean, it's in essence when you build a technology piece, you have you queue the system, right? So let's say you want to take for example, we're here in Miami.
Yeah.
Let's say a hurricane's barreling down on Miami, right? Demand immediately spikes for things like generators, water, plywood. Okay, so let's say a brand wants to capture that demand real time.
Yeah,
we can go from media brief to creative development to execution to optimization and scale within a matter of minutes, right? Through our Fanomics technology.
Yeah,
and then we have the performance infrastructure through our Shopnomics team, as well as our creator team to activate cross-channel creator economy, as well as kind of traditional medias, like a New York Times or media activations like that.
So what is the fundamental technology behind Fanomics? Because that's where because you made it like a cognitive leap there that I'm like, I thought Fanomics were synthetic creators.
It's our technology that we've built, and we actually queue the
and what is a synthetic creator? Let's define that. Is that an individual? Like I've got a profile, I'm a person, I've got an appearance, I've got likes and dislikes. Right.
You've read a good point. Let's say, for example, you're a product, Home Depot wants to reach men in Miami that are homeowners in a certain demographic. We can tune the engine to spit out the AI creator within those demographic profiles.
Yeah. So so this would be someone that matches both kind of behaviorally, demographically, the audience you're trying to target, imitates that audience, talks to that audience like, hi, I'm Jesse. Yep. you're and so because I was trying to make that connection between how would that work in the case of a hurricane hitting, and people and there's a drive in demand due to this
we can have qualified people, both real creators can activate, which takes a little bit of time.
Giving advice.
Yeah.
And then what's the distribution mechanism behind? So you got this thing, it's trained, it's got some sort of memory system behind it that gives it human-like quality. So talk to me about that. How are you building that?
We've built the distribution platform. We're connected to every single, we're connected, as we were talking about earlier before the podcast, AI agents. We're connected to all media platforms. So we distribute it on our own kind of media execution.
But how do you make the synthetic persona? What's the intel behind that?
Think about a media brief.
Yeah.
Think about when agents will do a media brief. We basically take the media brief and put it into our platform, and then it spits out, these are the core functions on the media brief. So think about it. People have to hire creative agency studios. And then when the cost of production is compressed, let's say there's an example for any media execution, take Home Depot.
Yeah.
Say they have a media execution of $1 million. Okay, they're going to have to allocate X amount to creative production, X account to media, X account to staff or whatever agency fees they have. Let's say we're able to compress that cost to pennies on the dollar for the creative execution. If there's still $100,000, where does that go? The money is going to go into performance marketing. So you're going to see more brands reinvesting dollars. Think about,
and is that the budget you're cornering?
Yeah.
Right. And performance marketing. And so the asset you're delivering to Home Depot is we're saying, hey, Home Depot, we're going to give you a synthetic agent,
Yeah.
right? That like could fit a couple different flavors. Maybe there's a host of them. They've got avatars, they've got personalities. We've somehow trained a memory system so that they can deliver probably some conversational interface. So you can talk and chat with them. They're giving advice to a specific audience around a specific problem to buy a certain product to meet a need. Like in the example of Home Depot, like you need to prepare for coming, and it's done in a more human delivery model versus just a targeted ad,
Exactly.
a targeted banner ad.
Creative velocity is a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
Because you think about the problem that brands are facing right now, right? Fragmentation. People can start the consumer journey on TikTok. They can start it on search. They can start in a conversational agent. Fragmentation, right? The media is more fragmented than ever. One click does no longer tell the story anymore. 2, speed. If you don't capture that demand, your competitors are going to. 3, you need to be able to perform. We've moved to an outcome-based economy. Everything we do has a performance aspect behind it. Vanity's gone. It's all about performance. And when the dollars...
And you're humanizing that
Exactly.
performance, right? As opposed to the old world of sort of direct response marketing where it's like, buy now, get the super chamois, limited time offer, right? A lot of that was meant to drive action, whether it was late night television or it was an ad or a retargeted, or an email that you're getting that's trying to get you to commit some sort of action. This is saying, no, we're going to actually, because to me, that's the unique value. Selling like all this other stuff. To me, it's like, hey, you're having a human or a simulated human, right? Which is either a creator that's part of your creator network or a simulated human delivering a humanistic message tied to a very specific problem that they're facing at a point in time. And you're zeroing in on budget that is ordinarily just dedicated to performance marketing, old performance marketing. So it's almost like a next generation of performance marketing. And so to me, that's really interesting. And what are I want to know what the distribution mechanisms are for like Agent A attacking the hurricane problem in Miami, right? On behalf of Home Depot, that's the use case here. Is that going through TikTok video? Is it going through short form videos? How is it being delivered?
All of the above. So I'm glad you kind of use a late night TV example. We can bring back Billy Mays. We can bring back the ShamWow guy. We can bring back, the clapper, cha-cha-cha-chia. So what gave rise to performance marketing? I mean, what gave rise to late night television? Okay. Cost of creative was cheap. Late night TV spots were cheap. Okay. So while traditional, Super Bowl ads or, ads during, the Knicks game when they lose to a team that's trying to lose, the Hawks, don't take it personally. You are a Laker fan like myself, so we can talk about that. It'll be fun. You have LA, New York. You have New York and Boston. It'll be fun.
Totally. You want the better.
You want the better ratings. Nobody wants. No offense to any listeners in Atlanta.
Nobody wants to see the Hawks.
Hey, you said it, not me, Brett. So think about the rise of it. There's 2 cost savings, right? All right. So let's say there's always a finite amount of dollars. Dollars just move one way or the other. Literally Billy Mays or the ShamWow guy showing a product. You don't have to do big creative production. 2, TV spots are cheap late at night. Okay. So think about if we can minimize those costs, like QVC, same thing. Think about minimize those costs by creative with our AI creative studio, as well as, we built the distribution infrastructure with every platform, almost every platform online. So we have so much buying power. So we help these brands save costs. So we're kind of taking the performance model to the AI. Most people are looking at, can I reach these creators? Do they want to promote my product? Can I put this product in? It's very read and react. Not looking at what the future of the creator economy can be. And ultimately, too, then you're probably going to ask me, are the creators concerned that there's potentially synthetic creators that could take their jobs?
Is that disintermediating the actual human creators, right?
And the answer is actually going to be no. The answer is actually going to be, it's going to help creators. And I'll tell you why. Let's say you're a creator. You can what's your most valuable? What do you want to do? You want to create. There's only 24 hours in the day.
Your most valuable commodity is time.
Exactly. So we can help creators actually do more. So it's like, okay, we're going to mirror your likeness, your partners, you're engaged with us. We can help the creators even deploy. Think about that 3 or 4 dimensions down the line where this is an asset to ultimately creators as well as brands for cost savings.
Is that in production right now? Are you actually taking that 400,000 person creator network that you have, right?
So
and giving them synthetic extensions
building,
of
it's not far off for us to do. We have the core technology to do it.
Said like a chief revenue officer, right? No, it's not live today.
But
but it could be. No.
Yeah, I mean, so for us, Nomix itself, it's really Nomix is the economics of shopping. Right? And think about what's happening right now in America, starting to happen, is kind of more like what's been happening in China. Bing, TikTok is live shopping. Think about if you're able to interact with the creator right then and there and purchase, and then ultimately, creators are we were talking before.
It will drop ship this shit directly from the warehouse, like the teacher model, right?
Do your children trust creators more than they trust the New York Times?
Yeah, and we did talk about this. Yeah, they're certainly on TikTok, and when I do hear an occasional Candace Owen quote, I fall off my chair, and I'm like, do you realize what you're listening to? And please interrogate those messages, because it may not be the truth. But that's the type of stuff that's seeping into the minds of non-political young kids and teenagers and college kids, because those are the creators. They're the people that are, creating sound bites, creating clickbait, right? Magnifying messages in these kind of quick form, short form videos.
Is CNN not clickbait?
Yeah, it's certainly not. CNN's that clickbait in the sense of the always on Trump controversy or the always on war footage, right? There's a clickbaitishness to that because it's all like, hey, we're attracted to the negative news, but I don't think from a younger generation perspective, it's nearly as engaging as, to your point, the short form video.
Well, think about, look, any media ecosystem survives and thrives when you build community.
Yeah.
Right. And it's really all we're solving for. There's really no new business models. Brands want to reach consumers the most effective manner. Publishers want to maximize their eyeballs and revenue.
Yeah.
There's different mousetraps to get there. That's what being in this space for close to 30 years has taught me. Right now, think about who the trusted source is. How do you build community? Right. Okay. Maybe a Generation Z is building community through TikTok. Maybe, people like, old like us will build community going to watch a sports game, talking about the Knicks, talking about basketball, talking about 1973.
Holding on to that MySpace account.
Holding on to that MySpace. I don't know. Did Tom call you back? He didn't call me back. So, you think about that, and, it's not, I've learned to kind of put judgment aside and just be objective on these things.
Yeah.
If the children relate to it, great. And that's really the dollars are shifting. Think about what the creator economy is doing. By the whole live shopping experience, what are you taking dollars away from? Yeah. It's moving away from traditional going to the mall, because you can literally try things on. You can have stuff like right then and there. And, creators are their trusted source. This creator is going to create this. And then ultimately, having that platform holistically to help amplify creators, help scale creators, and just literally take care of the creators, partners that you have, because they are the publishers.
Yeah. My last organization, we did some analysis. It was a company called Media Radar that did media intelligence. We did some analysis on time spent in various media channels, and we looked at sort of direct live sports experiences, right? Hollywood economy, meaning produced content, not always long form, but more often than not long form. And then we looked at like creator economy, which was short form video. And there's been, in the last 5 to 10 years, there's been a huge shift from production to creator in terms of total time spent, total audience engagement. The live sports environments and live event environments have pretty much stayed the same. So that seems to be, it's like about 20%. But I think there was a shift that I think about 70%, 60 to 70% of total time spent is now being spent in creator oriented, whether it's YouTube, TikTok, etc. Right. So it's cool content, right? They're even taking longer form content and breaking it down into, what do they call those? The vertical soap opera media. You know what I'm talking about? Where they take like a long form media like it's an hour long episode, and they break it down to 3-minute increments. And you have to, and they gamify it. So you get points for going on to the next 3-minute episode, right? And it's always a cliffhanger. And they end up changing the monetization model for long form content, because that 1-hour episode that you would normally pay, let's say $3.99 to download, they're now getting $20 for, because they've been able to monetize along the entire and get people sort of addicted to every next chapter of this basically hour-long episode, right? So it seems like everything's moving towards that short form. Do you think that is a positive sign from a social and societal perspective? Do you think we're losing the ability to, do you think it's like mass attention deficit disorder? I think is kind of my question. Like, are we losing the ability to focus on longer form, deeper narrative content because we're so addicted to short form, instant gratification type of content?
We're getting philosophical now.
I figured we go to that.
So it's neither good nor bad.
Yeah.
way to not
Yeah,
answer the
back to
question,
the
right?
don't judge.
Yeah.
right?
So it's just the way people are living in the world that we exist in today,
Yeah.
you know, and, you know, us as people can make the decision, okay, do we have a safe space where we, okay, you know, maybe you have a family dinner,
Yeah.
you know, things like that.
Yeah.
So
So you compartmentalize.
yeah, exactly. You
Yeah.
have to compartmentalize everything. I mean, you know, look, we have, and a lot of this as a culture, this is our own doing. You know, I mean, think about it when, you know, the three channel, I mean, I grew up, you know, it was like you have three channels, maybe Fox got introduced at some point, maybe there's four, but, you know, it's an aspect of culture. You know, when you have 1,000 options, you know, it does become overwhelming. You know, people say like, you know, hey, like the DVR is the big, I mean, I think the remote control is the biggest like invention because like you have to get up and physically go switch the channel and turn the rabbit ears. So it's like, if I don't like it, I can move it right now. And, you know, usually all this stuff is like, you know, you know, it's not good nor bad. It's just the way our world commits.
Yeah.
But I think from a communication standpoint, it forces us to be clear and direct. You think about it, you have, you know, people do long-winded stories like just give me the results, give me the numbers. So while we're saying we're in attention, like okay, if you want to call it attention deficit, I'm not going to disagree with you. But what I'm also saying is that
Get to the point quickly.
well, yeah, it forces us to be concise.
Yeah.
Right.
Cut
It forces
through the noise.
concision.
We're so
Cut through the signal and the noise.
Yeah.
See, I bring it back to you guys.
Yeah.
So you know, so it forces us a culture to do that. And then I'm a Leo, so I'm the internal optimist. I look at it. What does this allow us to do?
Yeah.
If we're not spending time on things that don't matter, it frees us up to do things that do matter. And that's why I look at, you know, what's happening with AI. You know, it frees us up to do the things that will matter.
Yeah.
Have conversations with good people, brainstorm, spend more time with our family. So like, you know, think about it. You know, if you were to kind of look at
like get the grunt work,
Yeah,
get the busy work done.
if you were to think about like industrialization, you know, the coal miners, you know, kind of like went in and said, okay, you know, hey, this industrialization is going to take my jobs. I'm going to lose my job in the coal mine. Yes, but it will save you emphysema.
Yeah.
But I'll have my job.
Yeah.
You know, you don't see the horses complaining when cars came.
Yeah.
You know, the people that fight innovation are usually, you know, fear, love. You know, you can arguably say that fear is more powerful than love. I'm afraid of this. We're saying, okay, what is AI going to do for me? It can help amplify my message. It can get the right message to the right person. It can even agents can help me free up my time so I can either A, be more productive, or B, spend more time doing things that matter and not doing the rote tasks. You know, like how often do you look at your flights to potentially change seats? What if an agent does that for you?
Yeah.
You don't have to spend time literally clicking on your, exactly.
Yeah, and it's sort of that abundance mindset versus the scarcity mindset, right?
Exactly.
It's this like, how do you take this as an opportunity to create sort of a better world as opposed to pushing back to say this is wrong because and it's hard when you're in it. When we're living in it, it's hard to kind of pull out and see what's actually happening at a macro level. But back to the creator economy. So I want to understand, so, you know, and get your thoughts on sort of how creator networks have grown. What percentage of media investment? Because you're saying it's sort of the new publisher work.
The amount of time spent on it's an underinvest. Friend of mine and kind of restore on this, like it's a underinvestment based on like the amount of time spent.
Yeah.
There is, you know, it's ultimately there is a dollars from an agency, holdco, and brand perspective take a while to shift.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I used to say nobody gets fired for buying more Google.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really it, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm doing what I did and it's more safe. You know, I'm choosing an example.
And there's a lot of creator-specific agencies. Do
Yeah.
you guys play that role? Or are you giving a marketplace?
Yeah, more marketplace. You know,
Right.
like the you know, you think about any new innovation's always quote unquote the bastard stepchild of any organization.
Yeah.
So anytime you bring in a new piece, what happens? Oh, if there's a finite dollars against something, say $1 million, if new dollars come in, where's it going to pull?
Yeah.
So people are motivated by fear, and that's part of the problem that we, you know, obviously, you know, where channels, you know, people focused on channels and saying my channel did it better than this because they're afraid of showing things that not work for just looking at a holistic perspective. Versus if you have a CMO of, you know, Coca-Cola, they just care about Coca-Cola brand.
Yeah.
You know, they don't care about does this channel do better than that? They don't care.
Yeah.
You know, they care about their brand. And so the issue is not the fact that creators here, the issue is the execution and fear to kind of follow the money. These are short-term fears.
Yeah.
You know, we know that the eyeballs are here, the dollars will follow. I learned life, you can't time when things are going to happen. It's not about being right. It's about being right at the right time.
Yeah. And so do we think that creator advertising, so it seems like you guys are
It will.
you're skimming off the performance marketing box.
Yeah, currently,
right?
but there's, ultimately creators engage more mid funnel, upper funnel.
Yeah.
The lower funnel is, it's a place to start, but as the business goes up, more brands, more agencies get more comfortable with what creators are doing, the dollars will continue to follow.
Yeah. And you have some sort of rev share agreement where you say, hey, we're gonna put you on our network. You're going to be promoted. Like how does your creator?
Yeah, I mean,
is
look,
it like a G2 crowd for creators, right? Where there's rankings and reviews and so topics that you can pick, like creator that's a subject matter expert in this or this or this, so you can start to align them.
That's where the infrastructure is going to have to go. You're going to have to kind of mirror the existing models. I mean, like it comes back to kind of what I said before. There's just new mousetraps. It's the same business models. You're going to have to mirror, to your point. And these are some of them. And what we've done at Nomix is build the distribution infrastructure and layer behind it to be able to track performance. Because think about it, the value is really in the infrastructure.
Yeah.
And then when the infrastructure is set, because it's the same amount of work let's go back to Coca-Cola, to onboard something for $5,000 or $5 million. It's really the same infrastructure. You have to be able to build scalable infrastructure in order to be able to plug in. So will the creator models evolve to where folks are used to buying? Of course. That becomes more easy to buy in the long run. And this is part of the reason why, kind of what you said, or one of us said, kind of the dollars will follow at some point when the infrastructure is fully scaled out for the creator economy. But, if people aren't focused on the creator economy, I mean, that's really where the money is going to go. Yeah. And it's really part of how we wanted to tackle it, obviously, the performance infrastructure, the creator relationships, as well as, oh, by the way, we have synthetic creators, which can save cost savings to Coca-Cola, millions of dollars to, a few $100s. And then that money can be reinvested to actually driving performance as the glut of performance economy goes up.
Yeah. And so
it's outcome-based economies.
Yeah. And are you partnering with agencies that connect creators to brands and just providing the infrastructure underneath it? Or are you actually playing that role of the middleman between brands and then creators they want to align themselves to push
we're
brand or product?
We're a platform. We're Commerce Everywhere platform. We're not an agency.
Yeah.
So in essence, an Omnicom or a Publicis would be a partner of ours. Hey, how are you doing? We can help you reach this. What's your strategic objective? Even with the Fanomics piece, what's your media brief? We're going to put our media brief in our technology, build creatives for you.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're charging a subscription type of.
Yeah. I mean, there's multiple pricing models. It depends. I mean, we have, since we have obviously the technology piece for the Fanomics, yes, we have different subscription models. But if you combine it with with an execution against our platform, we have flexible pricing models. We have an SMB strategy. We have a, premium strategy.
Yeah. So. And are you finding that a lot of the investment is coming from SMBs and mid markets, or do you see that enterprises are really moving heavily into the space? The creator space.
I think it's moving a lot faster. If you asked me 3 months ago, things are never as fast as you want them to be, or never as slow as they really are. So it can always move faster, but the pace is escalating significantly. And it comes to having conversations. I mean, some of the things I presented at Possible today, and people are like, wow. Yeah. So a lot of folks, what you'll see a lot of these ad tech companies they're trying to look at one piece of a pie versus understanding how the whole ecosystem works.
Yeah.
That's why we started, the Nomix Group. It's the economics of shopping, and we look at economics, it's the outcome based. If I were to walk into a brand and say, what, we're going to ensure, we're going to guarantee performance for you. Oh, wow. How are you going to do it?
Yeah.
What problem are you solving?
Yeah.
Fragmentation. How are we doing it? Commerce everywhere, all surfaces, AI agents, right? We're able to solve that problem through our portfolio of products and services. And that's why we've had significant growth, literally one of the fastest growing private companies based on kind of what we've done. And it's been, stitching it all together, being able to kind of like put the tools in the hands of the partners, and just saying, here, you want to be, we're the people to go to when you want to activate at scale Coca-Cola, for your entire catalog of every product, do it right away.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Hey, well, thanks for joining us. This was a good conversation. So we haven't talked to anybody about sort of the creator economy specifically and how it's operating in today's sort of media and marketing.
Happy to come back anytime. I can give you stories about comedy and comedians anytime you want. And, we can have a good laugh.
Yeah. Well, enjoy the rest of Signal and Noise. And thanks, man. It was great meeting you.
Thank you, Brett.
Bye.